What is up, you wonderful people? It is I, Nima, and today I want to talk about a game called Yurukill, or Yurukill? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, and I'm sure I am doing a horrible job pronouncing it. But anyway, if you look at the games that I most dislike, it would be shooters and the interactive novel games. I enjoy the story, but they just drag, and the pacing is just too slow for me, so I ended up not liking a lot of these games. So Yurukill is basically both of these combined. And I'm going to get into why I actually love this game. But first, I want to remind you guys to please hit that like and subscribe button. If you do, I will offer you 5 minutes of free therapy. Oh, also hit the bell as well. Apparently, not a lot of people are getting the notifications, and I drop videos almost every day. But seriously, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You're fantastic. But anyway, so Eurokill, why I like this game is because of the pacing. So the format of this game is such that you are a prisoner, and you're taken into kind of an interesting carnival land where you have to go through certain attractions, which are kind of these levels that are staged out, and you have to complete tasks that are required of you in these attractions. At the same time, you have a partner with you. Now, the partner is an executioner, and at any point in time, they can hit the button that will kill you because you have a collar around you that has a bit of poison in it, let's say. And to get this, correct, I will say all of the characters that you play as, and you do play as multiple characters, they were all convicted of some horrendous crime. The first character you take control of is literally a mass murder, convicted of setting an entire apartment building on fire and killing like 21 people. But here's the thing, as you get into these stories, you start to really question if the character you're portraying actually did do it, and they have really good excuses for why they didn't do it, or weird circumstances around their story. And as you play through the story, you find out that actually these attractions are the crimes that happened. The environment that you're in is the environment of the crime. The people, quote unquote, that you interact with are the victims. And much of the case pertains to the puzzles that you're solving. And it's super in-depth, super emotional, and honestly, it just grips you. But there's this point where you get kind of bored. I'm gonna be honest, there's just so much reading one person can do. And they push that to the limit, but once you get there, then comes another trial, another mode of the game. And that usually comes in the form of a quick answer response kind of mini game where if you mess up, you're automatically killed. And you're given 5 questions, and each one that you mess up on has the chance to raise someone's urge to kill you significantly. So at the same time, you have to use your wits. You have to use all of the information that you've been giving along that time to answer the questions correctly. Also, kind of read into the sympathy or empathy of the questionnaire or the executioner. The very, very interesting thing, too, to find out is that the executioner is usually a victim of your crime or someone related to them. So this has so many different layers to it, but I'm not done because after you get through all of those trials, there's one more, and this one's big. That is a virtual shooter type game that you play against the other character, and they portray this in multiple ways, and there's multiple levels to that even, as just your simple basic, you're fighting them one-on-one, and they have the aid of all the resources of the environment and the stage, to the point where they're putting up mental walls around themselves, and you're literally using your airship to destroy those walls around their brain, to destroy their prejudice against you. This game is so multi-leveled, but it's really fun and actually not as complex as what it sounds. I actually feel bad for the people behind this game because it's going to be one heck of a sell. It's really difficult to explain it, but the reason why I love it, I think, is because of that. Because I do enjoy the story, but with a lot of these games, the stories just seem to drag and drag. One like Danganronpa, I often found myself just waiting to move on to the next part because I saw the answer to the riddle, but it was taking forever to get there. This game is not like that. Number one, you really have to be pretty quick-witted to not die. I killed my character so many times. If you really want to talk about who the true executioner of Euroland is, it's me. My character's oh no, not this guy. He's gonna kill me 30 times before I can move on. But it is pretty complex and you have to use a lot of your wit to get through it, but it's really fun. I think that's the main message I want to convey, is that I love the way they did this, because I do like those story games because they really do have a lot of like great stories. Danganronpa, one of them, great story, but I just get bored playing them after a while. And this one, it's really kind of difficult to get bored playing. I would say that this one would say that has a bit of a trigger warning to anyone who has anxiety, because there are moments where it pushes you. And I think that's part of the game's mechanics, is they want you to be put in a position where you have to respond quickly with an answer that is correct or you die. And you're put in these high stressful situations. Like the shooter aspect, it's a bullet hell shooter, and it's a legit shooter. It's a good shooter, actually. And by the way, that's another type of game that I think needs another component to it instead of just being a straight shooter. But while you're in this position of being in a shooter, which like I said is already high pressure, you have to answer questions or things come up and you have to be paying attention to what is being said around you. Now, if you do just enjoy the shooter aspect, there is actually a separate mode where you can just play the shooter and you're just doing the a score attack. And that's one thing, because I will say, like, the game itself is beautiful. Like, the graphics are top notch and the sound is also really, really good. And I enjoy the aspect of the shooter. Even though I'm not really a big fan of shooters, this one just looks really good. It responds really well. And so I have found myself sometimes just logging in just to do the score attack and just have fun for a good 20-30 minutes, maybe before bed or something, not wanting to get into anything too material and too deep. One thing I do want to note, I talk about these high pressure situations where you have to answer multiple questions and you have to get them right or you're going to die, so on and so forth. Well, the biggest punishment for that is really just the game over screen, and then you're right back to where you were. There's not a lot of loading, there's not a lot of waiting. It is pretty quick to get back to where you made your mistake, and that is something I do appreciate from this game, because some of those games, it can take forever to get back to where you made your mistake. Phoenix Wright was one of those. Like, I really liked it, but God, to get back to where I had to get back to answering questions took forever. And this is not that way. And I think they do that because it's segmented, and so it's a little bit easier to do that. Now, what are the negative sides of this? Now, I've gone over the positives. Positive graphics are great. Like, they just look beautiful. Story is in depth. There are multiple stories on stories that kind of all, intertwine, if you will. Sound is amazing. I love the shooter aspect. So much fun. They're all great aspects. So what's the downside? Well, why is this game got some problems to worry about? One, they're going to have to do one heck of a job explaining this game. And I know a lot of people like Trotty, he's in depth with games. He knows games that I don't know about. And when I told him about it, he was like, oh, that's that shooter game, right? Like, a majority of this game is not the shooter. And so, yeah, they're going to have a hard time explaining this game to people. I also would say that there's going to be a group of people who are not going to want to pay $50 for an interactive narrative and / shooter kind of game. They're not going to feel like they're getting their value there, and that's fine, because there's going to be a lot of people who don't really like this style of game, and I completely get it, and especially for that price. But I will say that the people who do enjoy, like Danganronpa, Phoenix Wright, Doki Doki, any of those, they will really enjoy this game. And it's dark, it's twisty, turny, great writing, fantastic characters. They're going to enjoy all of that. But again, I think that market is pretty small. I don't think that's a huge market of gamers. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues, is value and the size of the market. But that's my thoughts on it. Anyway, guys, I truly appreciate you. I'm going to try to be putting out another review tomorrow. We'll do our best to either get it out tomorrow or Sunday. Anyway, take care, guys. I appreciate you. Love you. Bye-bye.